Picasso is thought of as a revolutionary artist, but so much of his art actually comes out of a Spanish tradition. So this is one of the revelations of the exhibition, that we think of Picasso as being entirely of the modern era, but in fact, much of his art developed from the artists that go back through the centuries. He is an artist who was deeply concerned about his relationship to past art, and he always defined himself in relation to it. It's the way in which he measured his own achievements. There's a profound relationship between Picasso and the Spanish old masters in the exhibition. We have to remember that Picasso was born in 1880 in Malaga, and he was deeply rooted in the traditions of Andalusia, from which so many of the artists in this exhibition came. So it really shows the degree to which Picasso's art was based on his upbringing, the traditions of his father, who was an artist and professor. Even though Picasso lived in France for so much of his career, his art really came from Spain, and it came specifically from the region in which he was born. Really, there are two things that are probably the most surprising about the exhibition. One is the degree to which Picasso was deeply interested in the artists of the past. The second is that I think we can see the Spanish masters in a different light as well, because we see them as artists who were themselves revolutionary in their time. And it's that contribution that they made to the past that Picasso understood and that inspired him in his own era. The structure of this exhibition is quite unusual. Normally, when we see an exhibition of Picasso's work, it's separate in a particular gallery. What we've done in this exhibition is to mix the Picasso works in the collection of the Museum of Fine Arts in Sevilla, so that the visitors will have an opportunity to judge for themselves Picasso's relationship to the old masters. They can see his paintings in relation to the work of Zurbarán or El Greco or whoever the artist might be. And this should be very stimulating for the audience. El Greco was tremendously important for Picasso from the very beginning of his career in the 1890s through the end of his death in the 1970s. And we see this particularly in relation to the fantastic portrait that is in the collection of the museum in Sevilla, the portrait of El Greco's son, Jorge Manuel, which Picasso actually made his own version of in 1950. So Picasso was concerned with El Greco from the end of the 19th century to the end of the 20th century, and it really defined his sense of Spain, of Spanish art across his life. Because the visitors to the exhibition will look at Picasso's work directly in relation to the Spanish masters, they will have a chance to evaluate his relationship, to think about what Picasso was doing in relation to the old masters, rather than just reading about it, in a wall panel. They can actually experience this and judge for themselves. It's an exhibition that's intended to be interactive with the audience.